right now, what we're finding out is that despite all of the promises Hollywood has made to the demographics gods, because that seems to be who they worship these days, there are less women in movies now than there have been in the last 10 years, which is really hard to believe when you think about it. But it says women-led films fell close to 30% in 2023, which feels insane, right? But movies and TV are different. It is fair to point out that TV is where they bog you down with just endless shows that nobody watches. The last couple of days, I've tried to I actually started watching something on Roku TV. Normally, everyone here who watches the shows knows that I don't watch ads. I'm anti-ad in all respects. But Roku only gives me 3 ads per 45-minute episode, and they're only 25 seconds long. I can handle that. But those channels, just when you go look through all the streaming channels, there's just so much stuff being made that there are a lot of shows that are led by women, and that's fine. If nobody's watching them, then the show should get canceled, and you should live and die on whether the show actually does well or not. But movies are different. Movies are supposedly supposed to be a bigger investment with a larger return if it's done right, so perhaps they're a little bit worried to put these movies in the hands of people they don't feel can actually bring home a return. Most people would argue, I believe, that they care more about the ideology these days than they do about returning a profit on things. And they keep lauding Barbie as the hero of last year's box office without pointing out that Super Mario Brothers also made $1 billion and Oppenheimer also almost made $1 million.
And what's more important about all this is the reason Barbie was so successful is because women want to watch other women being feminine, pink, cute things. That's very, very important. And also it did better out of any other female-led movie. And that's because women aren't going to go see a movie about a female character being a male character, being a masculine character. They want to see women being women, and men want to see men being men. And also, women want to see men being men.
That's a huge part
so,
of it.
everybody wants it, and the people that are angry about it aren't the demographic that are going to see it anyway.
Yeah, you know? what they're really good at shifting the narrative on these stories and saying that men didn't come out to the movie while also not pointing out that women didn't come out to the movies either.
Women want to see... Look, I'm going to be straightforward with you. Women want to see attractive women regardless of what they say. The only ones saying opposite are fat women in their 30s. And men want to see attractive women. But men also want to see attractive men. And women want to see attractive men and masculine men.
Because men are aspirational and they want to see, look, I wish I could look like that guy. I want to look at that guy.
Every time I see freaking Alan Rickson, when I watch Reacher, takes his shirt off, I'm like, fuck, I need to cut. I need to cut right now.
Why am I not at the gym? I could totally be watching this on the treadmill. Why am I not at the gym right now? I am so horrible. I've let everyone down. I'm going to the gym right now, and I'm going to finish watching this.
Dude, I'm on the deep web. I'm like, all right, let's trend. I need some trend.
I'm not talking about gear here, man.
Bro, how much can I get? Please put it everywhere.
But it's true. It's true.
It says it's a difficult lesson to be restated. One film does not represent progress across the industry and cannot bear the burden of lifting the industry to inclusion. Again, you're leaving out Super Mario Brothers, which was Chris Pratt. Yep. You're leaving out Oppenheimer, which was Cillian Murphy. There was a lot of things that succeeded last year, not just Barbie.
Very good point about Oppenheimer. Old chick was naked in a lot of the movie.
Bro, I actually felt like that was one of those ones. First of all, Florence Pugh, she's annoying. So, but
she
whatever.
is, and her body's weird looking.
That's whatever.
But it was there.
People got mad. I was like, she looks weird.
She looks floopy as hell. She looks a little floopy. Yep. Got a little floopy here. Yep. But I can deal with the floop as long as it's there. Give me something.
The findings are awful, wrote Neff, Dr. Smith, and Dr. Catherine Piper. Despite posturing, the legacy studios have dealt little or reversed course on inclusion in popular films. The stress that one film, even the year's biggest, cannot make up for the relative dearth of representation of the offerings. The problem is when you focus on demographics, you forget that that's just a distraction and that nobody goes and sees a movie for demographic reasons. We were at Dune last night, and Zendaya's in that movie. Rebecca Ferguson is in that movie, and they're both okay. Rebecca Ferguson is fantastic. Zendaya was fine. I wouldn't call that performance fantastic, but and Florence Pugh is in that movie. And at no point when I was watching that movie did I feel like none of these women were deserved to be there, because they are kind of the A-listers of today. Florence Pugh, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson. That's your upper echelon of Hollywood actresses right now, and they did fine. fine and they did good. And it had nothing to do with the demographics of the movie because the story and the visual storytelling came first. The problem is it's very hard to make art when you have the pronoun police and the gender police behind you with a gun saying like, change this. Change this, change this, do it this way, do it this way. It doesn't work. And it's really, really depressing. Like imagine having to be an artist in today's climate trying to make art when this is going on.
Well, they probably submit first screenings or like some kind of raw data.
Yeah.
And the people that are in charge of whatever DEI or ESG, whatever they're like, oh yeah, this isn't approved. There's not enough. There needs to be like a gay kiss somewhere in this. Like, why is there no minority actors? We need this and this. And they're like, well, fuck, we have to spend $100 million doing reshoots now.
The results this year point to an industry growth apathetic about efforts surrounding diversity and inclusion. Good. There shouldn't be. You should just hire the best people for the job. Though I've been told that meritocracy is now an evil word.
It is. I mean, so this stuff is, it's annoying in film, right? It's annoying and stupid in entertainment. But the real problem with this stuff is when it ends up in places like the medical field. And right now, there's, I think it's Stanford Medical School in California is having significant problems, or it's come out that there are significant problems in the way that people are getting their grades and people that are getting admitted. That's where these kind of DEI stuff really become a problem. So the people that were complaining about this 5-10 years ago, this stuff in movies, what they were complaining about was this isn't going to stop. It's not just that movies are we have to look at these things, blah, 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 or we have to see this and stories feel forced and they don't feel natural, and storytelling is getting worse because the stories don't reflect what we kind of see in reality, and we don't, the narratives that we're essentially, people are kind of looking for narratives in movies. When they go to a story, they're looking to hear the story that's kind of already they imagine, and if it surprises them, they're happy, but if it's too surprising and different, then they don't like it, and that's fair and stuff. But this stuff going into movies and into other things in society, it was only a matter of time until it gets into things that really, really, really matter, like doctors, like prescribing medicine. So
airplane pilots.
Oh yeah, airplane pilots, building inspectors, people that are engineers, all those kind of things. People talk about the crisis of competency and the things that we're seeing in the entertainment industry, while only entertainment and not really impactful on normal lives, that's the canary in the coal mine. So the fact that movies and stuff are not entertaining the way they used to be, and there's not really creative ideas and stuff, those same symptoms are going to start popping up more and more in different places in society, and some of the places that they're going to pop up are going to actually result in deaths. And this is the exact reason against having political correctness to the point where you're not allowed to step on a line and have dissenting ideas, because you end up with a monoculture that eventually starts killing human beings. And the 21st century is evidence of that. Sorry for getting too
The thing that I find funny about it is like, so what I've learned more than anything is that Hollywood is very, very sensitive to how they're perceived, which is interesting because, for instance, after what happened to George Floyd, they all made all these pledges, and they do this kind of every couple of years where they pledge to make all these changes. But when you try to force change through guilt, it doesn't work when you do so with a corporation. Now, we talk a lot of times on here about bringing back shame. Like a lot of people, I'm not one that's necessarily buys that will ever work again, because I just feel like most people these days, a lot of people, especially people who want to get famous on social media, they just don't have any aspect of shame.
A lot of that has to do with the upbringing, right? But go ahead.
Exactly. But the point is that when you try to shame a corporation, it's not a recipe for sincerity. So they will retract. They'll do what they have to do for as long as they can to make you forget that the problem is there. And then they will immediately revert course back to what was working. Now, they're willing to make all the changes in the world on television, where there is no money to be made because every single streaming platform loses money every year.
So there's a $20 super chat here from Salty Bag of Nuts. Phil, when are we going to see a Tom McDonald and All That Remains collaboration? Also, I have libtards as coworkers that love your music. Should I tell them about your opinions, lol?
No.
Well, I don't foresee an All That Remains Tom McDonald collaboration. Tom McDonald is a rapper. and All That Remains is a metal band. But yeah, so I don't see that happening. And also, you have a libtard as a coworker that love it. Like, All That Remains has people that you like. There are people in All That Remains that have political opinions that you would detest. There are people in All That Remains that if you found out their political opinions, you would hate me for associating with them. Right? If this matters to you, if your libtard friends, if their opinion, if you think that their opinion is going to change because of my political opinions, and that kind of stuff matters to you, you would definitely hate me for the people that I associate with. So All That Remains is not a political band. I'm political. The band does not have hot politics, and there are people in All That Remains that strongly disagree with me. So just so you know, the band isn't me. Even though like it's my band and stuff, I don't like. I'm the dude that wants to bring people back together. Like I talk about, like we want to get the liberals away from the commies. The commies have tricked the liberals. We want to get the liberals, Democrats back to being liberal and stuff. I'm doing that in my band. I'm like, I don't treat the people that disagree with me as if they're like my enemies. So
one of the other things that they talk about in these is, and both sides I think readily admit this, that they do seem to care whether a certain gender or race is playing a protagonist or an antagonist, a good guy or a bad guy, which I always find really interesting, because to me, a good bad guy is far more interesting most of the time than a protagonist, because they're allowed to kind of go beyond what is acceptable for a good guy character.
When you have a good bad guy like Lex Luthor, it doesn't matter that you have a horrible good guy like Superman.
Yeah.
Because Superman and the reason Superman's a horrible good guy is because he's boring as hell, because he's invincible.
So what they're talking about here is that there aren't enough women as protagonists, and I don't know if I buy that. I see a lot of cap there, because I just don't see them putting a lot of, like, female antagonists are pretty rare in the big budget movies, and the ones that do it well can do it very, very well. That's fine. But an actor who gets a chance to play a really good bad guy, every actor has always said they love playing bad guys because it's not who they are in real life, so they love to be able to chew the scenery and play that character that's evil. Right? They are tacitly admitting that they want to draw your attention to these things and make it think as if, okay, so it's a good guy in the movie, therefore they're a good guy in real life. That's not how the world works. Everyone who's watching these movies, everyone who's not poisoned by identity politics, doesn't make these comparisons the way that people that have been ideologically captured do. Yeah,
and you'll find these people telling on themselves a lot, right? So the guy that does Doctor Who, or did it for a long time, and I think he's still doing it.
Russell T. Davies?
Yeah. So he had this issue where he didn't want the new Doctor Who episodes to have Davros in a wheelchair, because I don't want people seeing wheelchair people as evil or disabled people as evil. And I'm like, no one saw that until you said that.
Nobody in the history of the world has ever thought that.
Yeah, except for him, meaning that he's telling on himself a little bit there. And I feel like that's what we run into a lot is you'll have antagonists. Women being antagonists is extremely believable, because we've all met women in our life that are they're cunning, conniving, and the lack of a better word, evil as hell. So them being on screen and occupying that space is a very believable and a good and immersive thing. But they can't put women in those roles anymore because they can't have flaws in movies anymore.
Yeah, that's the thing that I was going to say. Like the believability of stuff is lost, because you can't have characters that have done anything wrong. Like you were talking about a guy in a wheelchair. It's not that oh, you're going to think all people in wheelchairs are bad. What he's actually trying to get the narrative to be is no one in a wheelchair would ever do this.
Yeah.
That's what he wants. That's like if it's like, oh, he's in a wheelchair, and so it's possible that a person in a wheelchair would do this. And what he really wants is, oh, I don't want the people that are in wheelchairs have their lives hard enough. So you should not be planting the idea that they might actually be bad people as well.
Right. Exactly. So.
Yep. I see all this stuff, and the worst part is every time you read an article like this and some activist writes it, there's always more work to do, because when you pander to them, there will never be an end to this. There was an article I saw an image that Valiant Renegade posted on Twitter the other day of like the 2024 lineup for Disney's like workshop writers, and it's like 4-to-1 female to male ratio. It's not enough, guys. They will not be happy until that is an all female.
I mean, Justice Ginsburg said this before she died. Someone asked, when will it be fair? When will it be back to even or whatever? And it's not when the court is 50-50. It's when the court's 100% women for 200 years. That's when it will be even. And that's the mindset. It's like, oh, well, it'll be even. Men and women will be even when women have oppressed men for 100,000 years. And when women have been able to, beat the crap out of men because of all the bad things that men have done for the past 100,000 years since humans became humans, will be evil or will be equal in 100,000 years if women take all the positions of power right now and society makes it another 1,000 years. But surprise, if you put women in charge, society ain't making it 1,000 years.
Yeah. It's because the most evident truth to this that no one likes to admit for some reason is the women still need men as the enforcement arm. So like if you put women in power, like they would still need men to be the enforcement arm of laws. And then if men get fed up enough, they'll just literally be like, okay, you're done now. It's over.
For now. For now. Yeah. And second of all, and the second thing on that is like, there's a lot of like the reason. I saw this chart the other day about who's voting Democrat, and like single women that are single women are voting Democrat, and they vote like 68% Democrat. Married women, men, and unmarried men and married women all vote conservative, because women that are single, whether they do it intentionally or not, what they're doing is they're replacing men, or the things that men provide or a man would provide. They're replacing it with the government. The only reason women vote like that is because they're like, oh, I can get these things, the things that historically women have gotten from men, from one man, I can actually just get it from society, from the government, and then it's not actually getting it from one man. So.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for which studio is apparently the most based, it's Lionsgate, with only 20% of their lead roles going to women. So apparently they're very sexist over there. It says Walt Disney Pictures 46.1% leads go to women. Jesus. Paramount 44, Warner Brothers 38, Universal 21. Again, as people said, remember who the biggest earner at the box office was last year? It was Universal Pictures, outshone Disney for the first time since 2015. Is there a correlation there? I can't say for sure. Make up your own mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with female-led roles at all, and I don't actually, as long as they're written well, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're always written so terrible, and for some reason they always have to put the dialogue in there that, not for men. Right, there's always that dialogue somewhere in every movie, and sometimes it takes course over the entire movie, but sometimes it's like jarring. For example, like Batman, the one with Robert Pattinson, The Batman, which I enjoyed.
I didn't see it.
I didn't enjoy the last 45 minutes. It felt like it didn't need to happen.
There's a $20 super chat from Cobra Command Derp. I had an epiphany. Action movies with male leads being badasses appeals to the male fantasy, extreme competence. Movies with flawless women appeal to the female fantasy, unearned perfection. This is why they rate themselves 10s.
Yeah, and but the unfortunate truth is the women don't go see those movies.
They do not.
Yeah.
There's another $20 from Carnal. Give Gina Carano a Hollywood lead role, and the exact same media outlets saying there's not enough strong female types will go completely apeshit. The hypocrisy is
It's
palpable.
not just that. Remember when Alita Battle Angel came out, and they did the same thing. They trashed Alita Battle Angel in favor of the Marvels, as if both movies couldn't have shown with different audiences.
I enjoyed that movie.
There's a
Alita Battle
crossover
Angel.
there, but not internal. What?
I like Alita Battle Angel.
But I'm saying,
Yeah.
but the media trashed it because they were standing for Brie Larson in the Marvels at the time. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but my original point with the Batman is when you have these roles, like there's a scene where Batman and the woman Catwoman is like on a balcony and they're having a conversation, and it's like a normal conversation about whatever, and then out of nowhere, almost like it's a reshoot, she's like, this town's just ran by rich white men, and like white supremacists, and then it just goes to the next like dialogue, and it's completely it's like irrelevant, and then she kisses him, he's a billionaire rich white man. Then she like starts making out with him. I'm like, this is so jarring.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.